Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a thrilling night of virtual racing action here on iRacing. I'm Dave Regal in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we're excited to bring you all the live coverage from that Toddlin Town, Chicago, Illinois. Tonight, the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series promises to be a showcase of skill, strategy, and sheer speed as some of the best sim racers from around the world go head-to-head in this highly competitive environment. iRacing is where the virtual meets the real, offering an incredibly immersive experience that mirrors the intensity and precision of actual motorsports. The drivers are putting countless hours of practice perfecting every turn and mastering the art of virtual racing. The track is digitally rendered to perfection, capturing every bump, curve, and straightaway, setting the stage for what promises to be an electrifying race. We'll be bringing you all the action from start to finish, including expert analysis, driver interviews, and in-depth commentary on the strategies at play. From daring overtakes to split-second decisions, every moment counts, and I'll be here to guide you through it all, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, glad to have you with us here tonight in the YouTube.com live chat as we get ready to rock and roll. We appreciate everybody who tunes in every week, and we just want to thank all of you once again. Parker Retzlaff here at the start-finish line as we get ready to finally get rolling here on Monday night. Parker Retzlaff, of course, competed in Saturday's real-life race here at Chicago. We'll get a chance to maybe chat with him as, of course, at least our hope is that he'll wind up doing very well tonight. He's got 3 wins in a row right now, and quite frankly, it doesn't get much better than that. As we take a look here at our results from Saturday, actually, it looks like Retzlaff may not have actually run this race. Not sure where he was. There he is. Parker finished, there it is, 34th, and got a DNF. He was one of several drivers that didn't get the finishing points. In fact, he's one of 8 drivers that finished with a DNF, 7 drivers, as he sits right now at the end of pit road. Want to thank everybody for checking in with us as always, as right now with qualifying, things are kind of quiet on the racetrack. A lot of these drivers already have laid out their qualifying laps. Dennis Mickelson, so Einlanda, he comes down to make his second lap. A lot of these drivers tonight, this is not their wheelhouse, so to speak, and we're going to see that from a lot of them. Some of the drivers that, quite frankly, usually do very well in this league, this is not going to be their strong suit. Had a little graphical problem with points a little while ago, so let's go over the points as we get ready here. Brandon Minto and Mike McConville sitting atop the pile. In fact, your top 7 in points right now: Minto, McConville, Alonso, Sylvain Joly, Nick Hansen, Ethan Ball, and Mike Wright. None of them have changed positions yet. Claude Furlan crawled up 2 spots, but the big gainer last week was Parker Retzlaff after he has now notched 3 wins in a row, 4 total on the season. And in his runs, he's got 4 top 5 finishes and 4 top 10s. I mean, Parker in this league has just been this side of incredible, as we're going to get a chance to chat with him momentarily. In fact, I'm not sure if he's done, but right now he has gone P1 on the timing. Looks like he's back in here. In fact, let's see if we've got a moment to chat with Parker. And here he is. Hey, Parker, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me. Hey, Parker, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me. Hey, Parker, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me.
I got you.
Hey, sorry about that. I wasn't even in the room. So listen, looks like you just laid fast time down here at Chicago. You had a rough weekend again with the DNF. What was going on Saturday that had you hung up?
Yeah, I mean, I think our day was going pretty good, and there's a big stack up in I think 11 that put a hole in the oil cooler line, and it lost all our pressure. So another rough weekend, but we're here on Monday to try and redeem ourselves.
I mean, here's the thing. You seem to have done it pretty well. 3 wins out of the last 3 weeks, 4 wins total on the season, starting with Richmond earlier this year. I mean, you make it look that much easier behind the wheel here at Chicago. And, quite frankly, I'm impressed. I know that our viewers are impressed. What's the secret to boogieing around this place?
Yeah, I mean, you're just on the edge of control. I mean, it ain't even gonna. This race is all gonna be about who can survive to the end of it for all 50 laps. So it's just being on the edge of control without crashing.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed is that this racetrack has a lot of bumps in it, and I mean, like, they come out of nowhere. At least for my money, it comes out of nowhere. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to race the Cup car here on iRacing, but how does that feel? Whether in real life or sitting here in the sim, going through there with that solid rear axle.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't drove the Cup car really, but I mean, I will say iRacing's done a great job for how they scan this place compared to real life. I mean, everything is very, very similar. So it's good to be able to use, I guess, my experience in real life to come here and also vice versa.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck tonight here at Chicago, and listen, I'm sure that we're going to see you here either at the end of the stages or definitely on the podium because you are just faster than fast. So good luck, bro.
Thank you. All right, I am back.
Nope, you're not. Hold on. Grab you back. There we go. That, of course, the voice of Parker Retzlaff, driver of the number 5. A driver who had a rough time last night in the Cup Series, now with us here in the broadcast booth. Bennett Allen out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hey, Bennett. How's things going tonight, and how does the Xfinity car feel versus your Cup car last night?
Things are going okay. Xfinity car is definitely a lot more on edge than the Cup car is. Cup car tires are wider and they don't wear as much, so that you can really get the most out of lap times. But Xfinity cars usually have about 1 or 2 laps. So I didn't do a lot of practice in the Xfinity car this week. I did mainly 8-car races, so I'm just gonna feel it out. We'll see what happens. But I'm just here to be here, maybe get some stage points, and be on my merry way.
Yeah, I mean, things last night didn't work out. I mean, similar to how Parker's day went on Saturday. We were just talking to him, finishing 34th with a blown oil line. I mean, getting around here in the Xfinity car, take us through that. I mean, Parker didn't have a whole lot of laps in the virtual Cup car, but you do. And, what's the difference? What's that difference in feeling, between the independent suspension of the Cup car versus the solid rear axle here on the Xfinity car?
I'll say the Cup car, it just has more grip in the center corner, so you can really send it. Xfinity car really does slide around on the rear a little bit more. It's not as glued to the ground. And also, I feel like it gives more power to the rear tires, which sounds, odd, because, the Cup car is the Cup car. But, I mean, you really got to be careful on throttle up. And, my limited practice, I've noticed that you just got to be really gentle on the throttle, and that's really hard to do. And the reason Parker's so fast is because he can maximize, getting onto the throttle as I'm trying to, gingerly make my way in and out of the corner, because I don't feel like, either overrunning the corner or just spinning it on corner exit. So, I mean, like I said, wider tires in the Cup car, iRacing's physics, they don't wear as much. So, there's a night and day difference between the two. I will say the Xfinity car is more fun, but the Cup car is also fun to lap around and get hot laps in. Try to maximize lap time and beat whatever your previous lap was.
Oh man, that was definitely some good insight. I mean, for those of us that don't drive on the track anymore, whoa, easy there, big fella, as the rear end kicks out on the 15. For those of us that don't get a whole lot of seat time anymore, that's good information, especially, oh, never mind, Parker just bit the wall too behind you. It's good to know which is more fun. I mean, I always had more fun in the Xfinity car. It's the only series that I've ever been in the playoffs in, and that was the year that you happened to win the championship. But listen, man, good luck tonight, and listen, I got a good feeling about this. Of course, every time I say that, literally 10 seconds later, something bad happens to me.
I blame you for what happened last night, right?
Yeah, look, I accept all of that blame. I felt so horrible, and I said, I said to Alan after we get off the air, I was like, every time I talk to Bennett, something bad happens.
Well, I will say, like, I'm going through turns 7 and 8 right now. Like, you can maximize a lot of lap time, like, hugging that turn 8 wall. And, like, I got clean air for the first time all night last night, and I was just, you know what, let me try it. And then it bit me, and it stuck out like a sore thumb. So, you know, I will say lesson learned, but also, you know, I just want to get the lead and not, you know, look back. Because, I mean, that battle last night was a lot of fun. I bet you it was fun to watch, but...
it was incredible to watch. I mean, listen, the beginning of Stage 3 and 2 were like, that was the best. And then the very end of Stage 3, watching them duke it out was incredible. I mean, it was just great racing. So, listen, man, good luck tonight. We've only got about 13 seconds left in the warm-up, so I don't want to hold you up too much, and we're going to get started here with our starting lineup.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Thank you, as always, for your time, as we're going to get him back on up here into the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. And speaking of which, we are going to get a quick peek here at what the grid is about to look like. Just the starting couple of drivers. Never mind, I guess it doesn't want to pop up here. Thanks. Thanks, iRacing. Much appreciated. Here we go with our starting top 12. Parker Retzlaff and Trent Curtis going to be on the first row. Austin Green and Dennis Mickelson going to be starting in row 2. Row 3 featuring Bennett Allen and Daniel Moynihan. Tane Hodison and Ethan Ball going to be in row number 4, while row 5 features Gabriel Lafreniere and Aaron Mack. Row 6 going to be John Buwalda and Sylvain Joly as we try to advance this, and of course now it doesn't want to. Why not? It seems like every control that I have tried to use over the last couple of days has done nothing but just throw up on me. As we get these drivers pulled up, take a look at this beautiful beam footage here. Here is Parker Retzlaff, driver the number 5 Funkaway Chevrolet. Nope, I didn't click that either, thank you. As he is joined by Trent Curtis here on the front row. Celsius number 13 out of Clarence Center, New York. Of course, the TC of the JAR TCR Racing Stable. Austin Green going to be in row 2, as mentioned, with Dennis Mickelson, Sauerländer in row 2. Row 3 featuring Bennett Allen and Daniel Moynihan out of Boston, Massachusetts, while Ethan Ball and Tane Hodison in row 4. Row 5, Aaron Mack and Gabriel Lafreniere, with John Buwalda and Sylvain Joly in row number 6. Row 7 featuring from South Jersey himself, Mikey Mac McConville alongside Brandon Minto, while row 8 is Brockton Packard and Michael Witt. Anthony Sauvignano and Kavaja Holt in row number 9, while row 10, rounding out your starting top 20, is Ron Fitting and Logan Giesbrecht. It feels like Giesbrecht should be Sauerländer, but instead he's from Rockwood, Ontario. Ethan Eckert and Mason Hoffner in row 11, with Michael Pilardi and Nick Hansen in row 12. Casey Briscoe and Tony Burt in row 13, with Chris Claude and Rich Jett in row 14. Drew Glover and Sam Bolin in row 15, with John Wilco and Keith Black rounding out the 32 drivers that will take the green flag tonight. It appears Richard Pruitt and Alexander Gangler both going to be starting from pit road, but that just means it's 2 fewer drivers for Parker Retzlaff to have to put a lap down, as I'm pretty certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that we are going to see some incredible driving out of Retzlaff tonight, as he is obviously the most seasoned here. Something to keep an eye on from Big Mikey Mack. Mike McConville was in the hospital this afternoon with heat exhaustion, so committed that he is racing tonight. Mike, listen, I understand it's been a nasty heat wave here in the Mid-Atlantic region, and good Lord, we're going to have to keep an eye on him, that's for sure. It's going to be 50 total laps tonight, 25 shorter than last night's event here at Chicago. This title in town, stage 1 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 15, stage 2 at the end of lap number 30, and drivers will have 4 total sets of tires for the event. As Parker Retzlaff follows the iRacing.com pace car, we want to make sure that you folks know that we appreciate you tuning in tonight. Welcoming us, we thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be, and however you may be listening. As the iRacing.com pace car leads us now down through this little serpentine area, we can see the drivers working their way as we peek out from behind one of the beautiful buildings here in Chicago. And maybe I only think it's beautiful because I've, normally City of Brotherly Love, Guy, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. as Parker Retzlaff still sits here behind the iRacing.com pace car. As we're trying to get a good camera view here as he gets ready to go through the mixed circuit portion of the racetrack tonight. We're going to see a lot of golden arches. Of course, Chicago, the original home of McDonald's corporate. As the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road, the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab a Chicago-style hot dog and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime! Parker Retzlaff riding down here toward turn number 1, bringing the field along, everybody behaving themselves so far as they set themselves up for turn 2 as we work our way toward 3. They come through this kind of section here, and this is nice and sweeping. It's not a bad place to be whatsoever on the racetrack, as each of these drivers trying to get themselves a little bit of real estate so that they can start to run their own race. That's the hardest thing about road racing, trying to have that mental discipline to run your own race. Don't worry about the drivers that are around you. Don't worry about what they're doing. Focus on you is the name of the game here on lap number 1 as Parker Retzlaff comes down here out of turn number 6 and he heads towards 7, and just as he's going to come up and over the hump in Grant Park down through Xfinity Mobile Alley, he is working his tail off right now to hold Austin Green back by about 1.1 seconds now, as Green in the 32 machine is chasing him down. Now as we work our way through turns 9 and 10, we're going to see a lot of these drivers tonight work their way through there, as it looks like we may have lost some of these turns. There it is here in turn number 12, on our way back toward the front stretch as Parker hauls it out of turn 12 and back to the start-finish line. He's going to get credit for leading the first lap tonight. Side by side goes Austin Green and Bennett Allen looking from behind here at Austin Green thinks that he can see the promised land. Here's the thing though, is these guys are battling it out here behind Parker. Parker's now starting to gap them by 2.5 seconds plus as we run back here about a half lap through this through 2 here. And Bennett Allen trying to see if he can find a place to really mash the throttle down as we come through the Geico zone, not the restart zone, and get ready to haul it in. We can see Bennett trying to set himself up on the inside of Austin Green, and Austin not having any of it here on lap number 2. It may be a little bit too early for some of these drivers to start trying to make passes, but it's never too early for Bennett Allen to do what Bennett Allen does. Tyler Hutter from EVOO TV says, Tyler Hutter here, let's go Casey Bristow and Anthony Savignano. Speaking of which, let's take a look here at Casey Bristow, as right now he runs in 25th position, and you know, all things considered, that's not a bad run for the time being. I mean, you know, Casey already up 3 positions after qualifying in 28, and you know, it's a long race. You've got a lot of time here on the track, as we're going to see if we can sort out where Savignano may or may not be, and here he is right now, up 5 positions, running in 13th, just behind Brockton Packard and ahead of Mike McConville. Parker Retzlaff leading this race, now laying down fastest lap time, 2 seconds faster per lap than Austin Green at 1 minute 28 seconds, .83, as we work here on lap number 3. So Parker Retzlaff is suddenly laying down a blistering lap speed as Alexander Gangler is now registering as having crashed. Let's see what's going on with Alexander, as it looks like it may be more than a crash. It may be a canap. There it goes. This might be a little bit of both. This may be a problem here with a connection that Alexander's having, as well as a wreck problem. Definitely a connection problem. everybody pretty much behaving themselves right now on the racetrack, but Brandon Minto out of Norman, Oklahoma, driving the number 12 Okie Ford Mustang, chasing down the 00 of Kavaja Holt. And, you know, Kavaja is one of the strongest drivers in this league, and, you know, I say that as a Kavaja Holt fan and as a friend of Kavaja Holt. And, you know, here's the thing. He gets himself into just some really bad situations. And sometimes I can't even say that he gets himself into those situations. As Lauren Sidney says, go Brock. That, of course, going to be, wow, what a hold on. As all of a sudden it looks like maybe Aaron Mack took a hit here from Kavaja. But Brock, being Brockton Packard, driver of the number 63, we want to thank him for tuning in as always. As we can see here, high above the racetrack from our drone cam, he's currently trying to chase down the 51 of John Bawalda. Originally of Bel Air, Maryland, now right here in Pennsylvania, and of course from an undisclosed location, because we know that he's a very important person. We would never want to try to reveal where Willow Grove is. See, there I did it. Just kidding. But, you know, John Bawalda, what a great guy, and a long-time racer here. Whoa, as he smokes the right rear on the back of the 51. You know, a long-time competitor here in this league. And, you know, once again, he's out here turning laps, and it's good to have him back on the track. I mean, I got a chance a couple of years ago to go to Dover with John Bawalda and former Truck Series champion Bob Nestor. And what a great day that we had together, the three of us. And it was definitely like Larry Moe and Curly, that's for sure. As Gabriel Lafreniere now registering as having crashed. Let's see what happened with him. As he had Ethan Ball right behind him in the 96. Oh, just a little bit too much. Smokes that right rear and drags his quarter panel into the tire pile. Ethan Eckert now here in the 11. He's registering as having wreck. Let's see what happened with Ethan. I think we're going to see a lot of this. Whoa, easy there, young man. As he is now ricocheting and shooting back and forth across the racetrack. Hey! Oh! That'll be the end of the front nose clip. I hope he gets out of there fast because, my goodness, the 77 of Rich Jett was coming like a freight train for him. He had to be on the radio going, I'm stopped! I'm stopped! Ay vey. 6 laps in here as we're on our way toward lap number 15. Of course, here we are in the Windy City, founded by Jean-Baptiste Pointe-du-Sabot. Of course, right here along wait a second. Right here along a beautiful lake, Michigan. Home of Adams Ribs, which I'm looking for now. To see if it's a real place. And apparently somebody has asked this. And son of a gun. According to... I now have a place to add to my bucket list, folks. Adams Ribs is apparently at 4001 West Washington Boulevard in Chicago. And it's, according to this, it is a cozy place that specializes in serving up delicious and tender ribs with a menu focused on classic American barbecue dishes. Adams Ribs offers a casual dining experience for those craving hearty and flavorful meals. That, of course, from the TV show MASH Season 3, Episode 11, and Hawkeye went completely berserk chasing down Adams Ribs. It's one of my favorite MASH episodes. Of course, Colonel Blake had to help them figure out where yep, I almost said Bourbon Street, but it's not. Dearborn Street station is Dearborn Street. you know, when asked if they had any coleslaw airmailed to Korea, the only thing that Hawkeye and Trapper could say was, "We're draftees, I'm sorry." I mean, just what a great show, and of course, you know, it takes place here in a great city like Chicago. Of course, Chicago known for many things. Of course, the Loop, the Chicago River, the L, Wrigley Field, the Buckingham Fountain, the Art Institute of Chicago, and the Navy Pier. Of course, all things that you can check out if you're a Chi-Hard, for those of us that are, of Station 51 on Chicago Fire on NBC. Coming back this fall, can't wait for it. Apparently, and again, I'm just kind of checking some different things out here, but Chicago is derived from a French rendering of the indigenous Miami, Illinois word Chicawa, for a wild relative of the onion. Huh. Who knew? Shish kebab, Shawshank Redemption, Chicago! Parker Retzlaff now starting to gap Green by more than 4 seconds, 4.4 seconds right now. It's starting to get a little wild here. I'm curious to when we might start. Whoa, easy there, fella. The Black Sox, yes, the 1919 scandal for a bunch of baseball players throwing away a championship. Austin Green here, trailing by now 4.5 seconds to Parker Retzlaff. Bennett Allen running in third. Trent Curtis and Tane Hodison round out your top 5. Daniel Moynihan, Dennis Mickelson, Ethan Ball, Gabriel Lafreniere, and John Bawalda round out your top 10. And now Tony Burt registering as having crashed, as Tony is back here in the Xfinity Series. Of all the places Tony wants to come back and race, it has to... What? No. I do not know what this is trying to do here. Tony Burt losing it in the final turn. He waits for everybody to get on. A near crash there with the 24 as Tony Burt goes a lap down. Parker Retzlaff this season, just taking a look at some of his stats, he's got a total of 5 starts, and in those 5 starts, he has an average start of 1.8. And out of those 5 starts, he's got 4 wins. I mean, you can't really argue with that. Out of those 5 starts, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s. I don't see any DNFs on here. I don't. I really don't. And he's also got no incidents per corner. That's impressive. That is one clean race car driver in the form of Parker Retzlaff, driver of the number 5 Funkaway Chevrolet. Alex Princeton, Austin Green, and Alexander Gangler now registering as having crashed. Let's see what happened here. As we see Alex Princeton, this is going to be a pileup. Here is Alex Princeton coming down the backstretch into the crossover turn, and it's just a Chicago traffic pileup, as it looks like Bennett Allen might have squirted through that. In fact, let's see if we can maybe find where Bennett was in all of that mess as we go on board with Bennett. And here we can see the wreck happening in front of Bennett. Bennett gets on the binders and just barely scoots away from disaster. Parker Retzlaff leading this race here, 10 laps in the books as we come through the Xfinity Mobile Alley here, 3-2-1 and into the next turn, coming around toward the Golden Arches. Technically, McDonald's is located in Des Plaines, Illinois. Just having to make sure that my facts are correct, and they were slightly off. But that's still pretty close. Of course, it was previously headquartered in Oak Brook, Illinois, and moved to Chicago in June of 2018. McDonald's is also a real estate company with the ownership of around 70% of restaurant buildings. Of course, that's how Ray Kroc took over McDonald's from the original brothers that owned things. And Brandon Minto, let's see what happened with him as Mikey Mac's curious. It looks like Brandon Minto just had himself a bad day. Looking to see where he is. I don't even see where this might have happened, as we're here on lap number 11, 5 to go. Looking. Mikey Mac, I don't see what happened. Oh, there it is. Back here on lap number 6. Let's take a look and see what happened with Brandon Minto. Looks like everything fine here on the dark horse, coming across the start-finish line down toward turn number 1. Oh! He rubbed the wall hard, and as he came back across the racetrack, something tells me that that may have been hardware related. Let's see if we can go right here from the cockpit of the 12. Riding along here with Brandon Minto, he was having a problem. Brandon Minto had to have had a hardware failure, because I have never seen him. Let's see if we can just run this a little bit further back here. All of a sudden he comes through here. We can hear him hitting the gears. Yeah, something failed right before the start-finish line. And Brandon Minto suddenly had a problem with his throttle, and then coming here toward, oh, it may have been a pedal problem. We're going to see if we can get a hold of Brandon. Maybe he doesn't want to talk, but we want to talk to him. So we're going to go down here to the Furna Motorsports stable. Here's Brandon. Hey, Brandon, it's Dave. You got me?
Yes, sir, Dave. I got you.
Buddy, what happened there to the 12? Did you have a pedal failure?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was as soon as I went to third, pretty much right up or coming across the start-finish line, none of my pedals worked. Brakes didn't work, gas pedal didn't work, clutch didn't work. And then steering still worked, as you can see. I tried to turn it, hopefully try to get it sideways so that way the side of the car took damage, but it didn't turn enough. So front end took the blunt of the force into turn 1 wall right there.
Man, that was rough. I mean, you know, Mikey Mac noticed that you weren't there, and I'm like, oh yeah, why is he all the way down here? I didn't even see the red line come across with your name in it until Mikey Mac pointed it out. And I mean, wow, what a rough way to come here to Chicago.
Yeah, it's a little upsetting. Once again, I didn't get to get as much practice this week, so I was kind of struggling a little bit. I think I was hanging back from 17th or so, just trying to find clean track and just get a feel for the track. And can't really get a feel for the track if my brake and gas pedals aren't working. So sad it was a short day for the 12 car, but I mean, if something like that's going to happen, I'd rather happen at the beginning of the race than suffer through an entire race and then get taken out at the end.
Well, that's true, and I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do, but maybe it's time to just crack open a Miller Lite with Uncle Scott and call it a day.
Oh, I already got the Millers flowing.
Attaboy. All right, man, well, listen, good luck, of course, next week. You know what, let me ask you about that before I cut you loose there. Next week, of course, we go to the Tricky Triangle. It's a pretty good track for you historically. What are you thinking as we get ready to go to Pocono?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I actually enjoy Pocono. Back when I raced with Mike Wright quite a bit. I still keep trying to get him to come join us, but I don't know when he's coming back. But yeah, talking with him and everybody, I'm a huge fan of racing Pocono. all 3 turns are a little different, so it's just a lot of fun. I don't even really know what to say much about it. Long straightaways, so it gives me lots of drinking time to crack open these Miller Lights and drink. So, and long cautions. So if there's a lot of cautions, I'm going to be drinking quite a bit. So hopefully there's not too many cautions. But yeah, I enjoy going to Pocono. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, listen, Pocono's a local track for me, of course, trying to get up there with the media pass from 105.5 WMGH. It's just a matter of getting to the station and hopefully spending the day up on the mountain for sure. As Long Pond, of course, about 2-hour ride from just outside of Philadelphia here. So, you know, that'd be nice. And believe you me, it's after watching some of these guys during the week, especially at a road course, Pocono is like a very welcome place to go.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime I'm only making left turns, I'm happy. So even if it is a short track that requires a lot of braking, but luckily Pocono, it's a big track, long straights, so lots of checking time. So I enjoy going to Pocono a lot more than these road courses.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck next week at Pocono. We'll get a chance to chat with you then. And listen, sorry for your luck tonight, man.
Oh, it happens to the best of us. But have a good one, Dave.
All right, buddy. We're just going to send Brandon back up to the Furta Motorsports stable as we're here on the final lap of stage number 1 here. Parker Retzlaff now gapping Bennett Allen by 11.8 seconds and then some, as now it's 12 seconds. My God. Parker Retzlaff has found another world to be in as he comes on past our cameraman. About a half lap to go here in stage 1 for Parker, and right now the way things look, it's going to be Retzlaff, Allen, Curtis, Moynihan, Hodgson, Mickelson, Green, Ball, Savignano, and Lafreniere, your top 10, and just nobody has anything for Retzlaff right now, as there are just 22 cars on the lead lap after starting with 35. So obviously, Parker Retzlaff has found something different here for the 5 Funkaway Chevy, as Ron Fitting, Tony Burt, and Rich Jett all down on pit road. So obviously those drivers not having a good night as they just kind of sit idly by. And quite frankly, this is not my favorite track, as Keith Black looks like this has now become not his favorite track. And coming out of the final turn and back toward the start-finish line, going to be Parker Retzlaff coming across the line first. And there he is, capturing the green and white checkered flag. And there is the caution here at the end of stage number 1. Going to get a chance to talk with Parker now as he gets behind the iRacing.com pace car. There's something goofy going on here in the circuit. There's a surprise, as it looks like he's here in the booth now. Hey, Parker, it's Dave. You got me? And Parker looks like he does not want to be bothered here at the end of the stage. So with him there, it looks like Mike McConville not able to be Mikey Mack. I know you're paying attention. Hop into Discord and come on down here.
Making any changes?
Hey, Parker, you got a minute to chat?
Yeah, I got you.
Listen, man, dominant finish here to stage 1. How's the 5-car handling, and what kind of changes are you thinking about making?
I don't think I'm gonna change anything. I'm just gonna fill in more fuel, put 4 new tires on it. So I've tried to take it a little bit easy here in stage 1 and just not give myself any damage, and be easy with the little bit of lap traffic we've had. And now I'm just gonna start stage 2. We'll see if anyone stays out and tries to make that work, or anything like that. So I'm just gonna pit and try and stay on a very basic and normal strategy here.
All right, man. Well, listen, good luck. I don't want to hold you up here as I know that you're probably sitting there chatting with the old teammates, but good luck here in stage 2. And listen, we'll be watching because you were just gapping everybody by like 12 seconds. So good deal, man.
Thank you.
Still waiting for Mikey Mack to pop on down in here. Buddy, I know you got some time on your hands. Come on down. Hang out in the booth for a little while. As we ride along with Parker Retzlaff coming down pit road into box 1, we're going to watch the right sides go up for the first time here. I'm sorry, the left sides, as of course we're a little backwards here on the road course. Of course, road course pit roads are on the right-hand side as we work in a clockwise rotation instead of the traditional NASCAR left-hand turn. Tane Hodison shooting past Parker Retzlaff here in the 5s to the 93, going to lead us back to green when we get back underway. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Riegel, and this is Monday Night NASCAR.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Welcome back to Chicago, Illinois, where joining us now in the broadcast booth at the beginning of stage number 2 is the great one, literally the great #1, Mikey Mac McConville out of South Jersey in Cape May County. Mikey Mac, I know that you kind of had a rough day at work. We were just talking about it off air, but listen, man, I'm glad that you decided to slide in here. We miss you on the racetrack, but it sounds like you had a pretty rough day.
We got taken care of at the local hospital.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to have their workday end with a hospital trip.
Yeah, but I mean, how hot it's been in this area, living in upland Philly, it's much hotter up there than it is at the shore.
Dude, I was up on the roof of one of my buildings today and caught some of a tan. It's a white rubber roof, and I was just up there cooking.
Oh yeah, I believe that, man. In my delivery van, I got I think it's called a trucker's tan. My left arm is completely tan, and my right arm is just like a little tan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, back when I was a service tech on the road, that was like, my left arm looked almost like it was from the Caribbean. Well, I know that you've been watching tonight's race. I mean, take us through some of this. Now, your teammate here, Parker Retzlaff, has just been like in a totally different zip code here at Chicago. I mean, he had a rough day on Saturday finishing third, not finishing the race and ending up in 34th, but tonight he has completely redeemed himself. How do you get around a place like this as easily as Parker's making it look?
The real world experience, just for like the marks you have to hit, it really helps. So he's told us every week he's dominating all of us, even though we're all on the same set. He just gets that little extra bit out of it, and I think sitting in the real world car really helps.
I never noticed it until just now, but Richard Pruitt has the Pampered Chef on the side of his car, and now he's gone. But the Pampered Chef just brings me all the way back to like 1999 when every mom everywhere was having a Pampered Chef. Was your mom part of that?
She was not, luckily.
Consider yourself lucky.
My mom did Tupperware stuff.
Well, that's almost the same thing.
Close enough.
Like, it was always one of those where like my mom would have like her friends over, and their friends would have to bring one of their sons so I could have somebody to play with while the moms looked at kitchen utensils. Didn't help my mom's cooking, but once upon a time, all I think my mom knew how to make was pasta casserole.
There are worse things to know how to make.
Yeah, like tuna noodle casserole. I've eaten that until I was ready to throw up.
Oh, I hear that. I think I had it once. No.
Nothing like tuna, breadcrumbs, and peas to make you want to puke.
That sounds like well, let me go back to the hospital. I'll take hospital food over that stuff.
Here, have some soy. You'll be fine.
Whoa.
Listen, your teammate Parker up here right now running P1. I mean, half of your stable of teammates is running a dominant race tonight. I mean, first of all, Trent Curtis, started on the front row, had himself an issue here running in 7th position. Of course, Dennis Mickelson, the Rhinelander, which I didn't realize it until last week, but Rhinelander's actually a town. I really thought there was some kind of homage that he was trying to pay to the fatherland.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Hey, learn something new every day.
I Googled it last week because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't saying something hysterically racist.
Probably a good thing to do in this day and age.
Yeah, nobody wants to get canceled over a town that's, somewhere in Michigan.
Is that where it is? Up in Michigan?
It is. I was very shocked to find that out. Brockton Packard running in 12th position. I mean, most of your teammates are up here, and Parker Retz just went purple again at 1 minute 28 seconds, 167. I mean, he's literally P2 is running almost exactly 2 seconds behind him.
We're going to get him one of these days. We're going to shock the world. We're going to beat Parker. I plan it to be Pocono.
Oh, that's the plan? I feel like the only way that you're going to get him is if somebody, uses the chrome horn on a restart.
Hey, if that's what needs to be done.
He understood the assignment.
He and I were talking last week when we were at Nashville. I told him, I was like, if I'm close enough, you're going to get it. He's like, I wouldn't expect anything less. So the door has been open for all-out warfare.
Makes sense to me. I mean, everything that I see you guys do on this team is just this side of incredible. Since you guys have come into the league, you've netted like more top 5s and more top 10s than anybody else. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Watching guys like you, see, this is a terrible camera angle. Thanks, iRacing, for crap. But, I've even tried to make those adjustments to see if I could move the camera, and it just doesn't get any worse. It doesn't get worse. It doesn't get better. It's just, But your team has just been dominant, from literally the moment that you guys showed up in this league. I mean, how do you explain that where all of you have this kind of talent?
Well, Nick, Ethan, and myself have been racing together for a couple years. And Nick knew Trent, and we all just decided to make TCR together because Trent races go-karts in the real world, so we fell under his team name. And everyone else just kind of fell in. Ethan works for Jordan Anderson, so that's where Dennis, Parker, obviously, Brock, that's where all they come in. Man, it's just we're all like one big family. We're not really a team. We're just a tight-knit group.
I get it. I mean, that's kind of how things came together here at Sim Racing Media for myself in this league. This league, because we run all three series, some of you guys, including, of course, yours truly here at the microphone, we spend 3 nights a week together. I mean, that's more time than some people spend with their family on Christmas.
Which is a crazy thing to think about.
The stat was brought. Whoa! What on God's green earth was that from just ahead of where we were here? Let's take a look at it now, just now.
Oh, Bennett doing something crazy?
Looks like Savignano. Nope, Savignano tried to cut him short here and shoved Bennett in the wall. That's not going to make Bennett happy.
Good. No, he's going to start seeing red.
There are a couple of people that I don't like to see drive angrily on the racetrack, and Bennett's one of them. And here he comes.
Would be top my list.
Here he comes, side by side with Savignano coming through the final turn, back to the start-finish line, and Savignano has got to be soiling himself right about now. So we're going to ride here along with him. And again, I don't understand why this is clipping along. Whoa! There it was. Let's see if we can get a peek here at what happened with Savignano.
Did he slip, or did Bennett just give him the old
It literally, there's only 2. Oh. Well, isn't this questionable at every level?
Well.
Let's see if we can see this from Bennett's hood. This is going to be the tail of the tape. Oh, Bennett gave him the chrome horn. Good Lord. I feel like I need to tell Anthony, remember that time you thought it was a good idea to try to bounce Bennett out of the way? Remember that time? That was a good time.
Oh, that's a great time. The whole TCR brigade is behind this. And glad to see everyone got through.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, the stat was actually brought by the Philadelphia Phillies color announcer on radio a couple of years ago, Larry Anderson, when he was starting to try to take a step back from his daily duties. And
I thought about that.
I'm a 12-year-old.
Oh, dude, same.
But Larry Anderson pointed out that for a lot of the people that listen to baseball on radio, football, or even watch it on TV, you spend 3 hours a night listening to baseball or watching it on TV. And there are people that watch 20 and 30 games a season. At 3 hours a night, that's like 600 hours, right? Or 60 hours a night. You spend a max of like 7 hours with your family on Christmas Day. If you combine your thing, even if you have like a tight-knit family and you celebrate every holiday together for some reason, which usually is those weird culty families, like you still only spend like 30 hours a year together.
Yeah, just us, just racing together. We spend more than that in almost a week. Well, maybe a month.
I mean, if I put my timesheet from SRM together and I started counting how much time I spend just on this league alone, it's more than everything else that I do for like a 2-month period in 1 week.
Oh, same. Trying to build the setups each week for the team, I'm probably putting in easily 40 hours a week.
Now, take us through that, because back when I raced, of course, I was usually buying my setup from somewhere because I didn't have time to sit here and mad scientist this. What's your creative process when you're trying to build a setup and tweak these cars and chassis?
It's all about feel. It's what you want the car to do on entry, how do you want it to land and center, and when you get back to the throttle, how the car accelerates off the quarter. And it takes a while. It does take a mad scientist to figure it out. It took me a couple weeks, probably a couple months, honestly, to start to figure out what little adjustment does what. There's so many things you can tinker with the setup, and it'll drive a guy crazy.
Yeah, I know that there's one setup builder that used to be in this league that I know that he spent hours upon hours, building a setup, and then something bad would happen on like lap 3. He would get damaged, and that was just it. He would rage quit because, you do spend so much time building that setup and the care that you put into it. I mean, to me, I've always been fascinated with how you guys do it, and again, let's load this setup and go and see what happens.
Yeah, it's rough when you get caught up in something that you're putting so much effort towards, and it just, whether it's your fault or someone else takes you out, it takes a toll. There have been a couple weeks real early on in the season where I was making mistakes, and it was very mentally taxing because I was putting so many hours into building these great setups for the team, and just for me to end probably before the first stage, somewhere in the second stage, I had a lot of long talks with Nick Hansen, and he helped me just focus, get back to a more stable mindset, to where even though we're putting so much effort into this to do well, it's not everything. It's not, at the end of the day, this really is just us coming out, having a good time on a Monday night. Whether you do good, do bad, we're all here to have fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it's got to be even more frustrating, being the setup builder. Wow, what a pile-up. I'm pulling up the replay now. Savignano first, and now I can't make it work. Come on, fire off here as we look here for Alex Brinson. I mean, it's got to be even more frustrating for you tonight because, you build the setup, and now you get to watch your baby run, but you don't get to take it out yourself. I mean, and to me, the ultimate tip of the cap, of course, would be a professional, real-life driver like Parker who says, I'm not going to make any changes. Like, to me, that has to be a cool feeling.
It very much is. Having someone of Parker's quality run a setup that I put together, some just jamoke from New Jersey that a real NASCAR Xfinity driver is running, the pride just builds so much.
As it should. I mean, Jamoke from New Jersey. Folks, that's a regional term, and it's not bad, I promise. Like, actually, I don't think I've ever used that on the air, but I'm gonna from now on.
Yeah, you know, it's very...
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, if somebody calls me that, first off, it means that I did something boneheaded, and I'm an expert at it.
I hear that. I'm as well.
But, you know, to your point, I mean, it's the same thing that I feel like when I talk to somebody like Parker who has real sim time in the real world. And it's some of what I think I take pride in here at Sim Racing Media when I get to cross paths with people who do this in the real world. Of course, Justin Clapper from the Thunderclap Racing Series that we used to carry, that I've managed to carry on a friendship with. You know, he works in the Xfinity Series on the pit crew, and it's, you know, when I was down in Miami last year, I saw him pushing literally the pit box through the garage here. I was like, yo, my man. You know, and when somebody's able to be like, hey, look at you, Sim Racing Media, you know, it's almost validation to what you do makes, I don't want to say a difference, but at least it makes an impact on somebody who gets to do this in real life every day.
Completely agree. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, here we are on lap number 29. And things starting to come together now. Of course, another dominant performance by your teammate here in stage 2. I mean, you know, it's almost like there's too many tire sets for this race. I mean, Parker only used one set when he came in. Track temperature right now, 94 degrees. So it's in that perfect spot where the track isn't going to be chewing up tires. And, you know, to me, it's interesting because NASCAR basically takes over downtown Chicago for, you know, a couple of weeks because it takes time to get all of these barriers up to set the track itself up. I mean, you know, I may or may not complain heavily when the president comes to town here in Philadelphia and ties up traffic, or, you know, there's something special going on in Center City, and it makes getting to the ballpark in South Philly a pain in the butt. But these people literally had to give up their lives for NASCAR for a couple of weeks, you know, trying to get around their town. And I'm curious how many NASCAR fans are just hanging around in the Windy City.
I never really figured Chicago as a big NASCAR town, but the last 2 seasons, the street race, it proves me wrong.
I mean, it's got to be cool, you know, especially for the people who have office space and things overlooking the racetrack. And I mean, if you look here at some of these grandstands, which they're rendered accurate, I mean, there are people that are just literally right up against the wall. Parker Retzlaff leading us here on lap number 30, and just absolutely making this look like a work of art. He just rolled through what essentially is a big sweeping right-hand turn and probably didn't even touch the brake but for a half a second, as he made it look just that easy.
I mean, what doesn't he make look easy in these cars?
That's a fair point. I will give you all of that, sir. I mean, here he is about to take over McAdoo, Pennsylvania's very own John Wilco, who's already down a couple of laps here. I mean, Wilco usually, he's been very competitive and he, you know, logs as many laps as he can, but right now, trying to stay ahead of Parker Retzlaff, I don't think this is going to be a smart decision, as he may make a mistake here on the way through that McDonald's alley.
Yeah, but which McDonald's alley? There's 2 of them.
Either one of them looks like a pain in the butt. I can give you that.
It very much is. It's super tight quarters.
Parker comes down the front. Wow, what in the world was that back here? Can't see who that was. It just slammed hard into the wall. It's not Wilco. It wouldn't be Bristow.
There's been a couple of guys falling out.
Good Lord. Well, the caution comes out here with 20 laps to go. We're going to step aside and pay some bills on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. He is Mikey Mac McConville, and we'll be right back.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler, or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
He breaks so much later. Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the town that has all that razzmatazz, Chicago, Illinois. Here in the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series, making a special appearance in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth is driver of the number 1 car. That's, of course, Mikey Mac McConville out of Cape May, New Jersey. Mike, listen, I appreciate you coming in and hanging out. It's not often that I get to hang out with a driver who's, well, on injured reserve for the evening.
It's good to hang out. It's good to see the perspective from the booth.
It's a lot less stressful up here in the booth, I can tell you that much. Of course, I drink more, but it's still less stressful.
Well, yeah, give and take. Some good, some bad.
Right. I feel like, I feel bad for people who don't drink because when they wake up in the morning, that's the best they're going to feel all day.
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, I try to be fairly accurate with all of my observations. That's just one of them.
That's pretty spot on.
Parker Retzlaff and Tane Hodison going to be on the front row for our restart. Tane Hodison won the race down pit road, so he's going to have control of the field as we come down McDonald's Alley toward the final turn here as the iRacing.com pace car picks up one more step here as we get ready to head over the bridge. Of course, those are the Chicago L tracks underneath us here as we are at the Chicago Street Course. And, yeah, the observation made here by Rebecca saying that no one's going to talk about how these cars keep crashing and bumping into each other like it's 5 o'clock city traffic. Yeah, this almost looks like the Schuylkill Expressway at 5 o'clock, that's for sure.
It looks like the Jersey Turnpike.
Oi. I mean, I feel like, I think the most frustrated I've ever... Whoa! All of a sudden we have pandemonium in the ring. That looks like the 25 of Dennis Mickelson, so Einlander here in his Chevrolet just got turned around all kinds of crazy. Let's see if we can run this back and take a peek at what might have happened.
Oh, did he get tagged by the 93?
He may have been. Let's just assume that maybe he didn't, but we're going to see if we can get right here to the 93 as now it's disappeared off my screen. That's helpful as we now look at a completely paused screen. We apologize, folks, as we're trying to figure out where he is. There we go. Let's watch the 93. And, he came across the 93's nose. And then Tane just kind of finished the job off.
Man, Dennis, come on. You're better than that, buddy.
Well, he is better than that, but right now he's going to be running in 14th position after qualifying on the second row. Logan Giesbrecht, one of our neighbors from the north, running in 13th position. And right now, as it runs, just 16 cars are on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap is Michael Pilardi. And Michael back here, let's just say he's running his own race as he was the lucky dog. And to your point, we were talking off air, folks, that, being the lucky dog and getting the wave around really isn't that much of a benefit. And Mike, you talked about the fact that it really only gains you about a half a lap.
Yeah, by the time, they wave you around the pace car, they're already on one to go. You can only make up about half the lap. So, I mean, you have to basically do 2 full laps by the time you do one. And a lot of times on these road courses, we only get 3 caution laps for the stages. And it's really rough trying to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, with 16 laps to go, we know that Pilardi's not going to be exactly making hay here. We know that there's no more cautions coming for the rest of this race. And, I mean, it's been a quick one so far. It's only 1 hour into the race right now as Retzlaff running 1 minute 29 seconds, .2 on his last lap. Ethan Ball, to just show you that comparison, the same lap ran a 1 minute 32.7. So literally 3.5 seconds the difference between Ethan Ball and Parker Retzlaff. I mean, it is just this side of disgusting.
Oh, I think Moynihan just clobbered the fence.
We're going to take a run back and look at that because, come on, work with me here. It was either Moynihan.
It looked like that Dunkin' Donuts car.
Let's take a quick peek and look, as it may have been. No, he didn't really clobber the wall too much, but let's look from above here. As we come back, he's side by side with Hoddison coming down the stretch. And he and Hoddison, looks like Hoddison might have gotten on the binders a little bit harder. Moynihan definitely fighting a tight condition as Retzlaff just goes even faster here at 1 minute 28.01. He's flirting with 127. I can't even begin to express how horrifying that has to be as a driver trying to. There is no catching him.
No, he's such a swing.
A driver that I don't get a whole lot of chance to talk about here is John Bawalda, who's about to be under attack here by Bennett Allen, as Bennett Allen looks to the inside of John Bawalda, and Bawalda, an aggressive driver in his own right, tries to defend third position, but now falls into the hands of Bennett Allen, who gets on past him as Aaron Mack registering having crashed. Let's see what happened here. Thanks, SDK. We love that camera. Listen, I don't like to criticize. I think your wheel's supposed to go in circles, not lock up like that. Oh, here it is. Look at this. It looks like Aaron Mack kissed the wall and it locked up that left front, and that's all she wrote here for the 31, as he's going to have to come in and get that fender pulled out. I don't know if he's going to do that without cutting a tire to shreds, as Parker Retzlaff now leads us by 10.2 seconds over Ethan Ball.
And I want to give a shout out to Ethan. That man is one of the harder work guys on the team, and he doesn't get the finishes he deserves a lot of weeks. So seeing him run P2 is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Ball, come on. Something is totally wrong here with my stream. But Ethan Ball out of Princeton, West Virginia, of course, works in real-life racing, of course, as well. And, I mean, right now, the 96 doing his very best, and he just closed in on Parker by a half second. I almost wonder if Parker just wants to get off the throttle for a little while and just kind of relax himself, put the elbows down and chill.
I think Parker could probably win this race in reverse.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I swear. I mean, there are a lot of... I think something that people discount here on the iRacing.com servers, and my dad was one of them until I started doing the broadcasting thing because he realized that his son was an awful race car driver. But, you know, like, I think people kind of sell iRacing short. I mean, you know, the cars may be fake, but the competition is as real as it gets. I mean, you know, this is not NASCAR 99. This is not, you know, EA Sports. I mean, what iRacing has done is just this side of amazing.
Yeah, it's basically just another hobby for us enthusiasts that love the sport but don't have the massive budget that some of these people do, that they can go out and buy a ride for a race, a couple races. So this gives us the experience of being in our own home and, you know, quote unquote pretending to be basically like Parker.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there are, of course, people, you know, with the Pro Series here on iRacing.com, it opens up the door, I mean, you know, for people like Parker to go from the virtual world to the real world. I mean, you know, Hendrick was able to start to find some people that way. You know, JGR was able to do that in the real world, you know, to develop these virtual, you know, these sim drivers. And, you know, I feel like a NASCAR owner, whether you're Rick Hendrick or Joe Gibbs, you're not investing money unless it's a smart decision.
Yeah, hard to invest in someone that isn't proven, whether it's on the local short tracks or, you know, in the Pro Series for iRacing.
Ethan Ball just registered as crashed. That's kind of scary. Let's take a look here and see what happened. As he was under assault from Bennett Allen, as now Bennett Allen looks like he's running in P2. Let's see what happened here as Bennett looked to the inside and, you know what? Didn't even touch him. Not even sure. In fact, let's ride along with Bennett Allen for this one. As we're going to go on board here with the 15. I don't think Bennett Allen touched him. I think Ethan just decided that, you know, keeping the car safe and clean. Yeah. I think Ethan just kind of looked at the cost-benefit analysis and said, you know what? I'll keep the car clean just to stay out of Bennett's way.
I think that's Ethan going, I know what this guy does behind me, and instead of getting taken out, well, let's let him go. It's only one spot.
Yeah, and with 12 laps to go, I mean, you know, right now Ethan is gapping John Bawala by 7.3 seconds. I mean, a minute ago, John Bawala was running in third position around Bennett Allen, and, you know, all of a sudden, John Bawala just leading a pack of Angry Hornets and Tane Hodison, Drew Glover, Dennis Mickelson, and Trent Curtis. I mean, you know, Brockton Packard another 9 seconds back. So it almost seems like there's about, you know, there's at least through these 9 and 10 cars, it looks like maybe there's a couple little 4-car packs, and they're just kind of running around each other. It's got to be better than what Parker's doing up here, because that has to get awful boring. I mean, what does it, first of all, because I was that terrible of a driver, what does it feel like to lead a race and just be all alone?
Leading, it's always fun, because, you know, everyone's trying to chase you, run you down. So you always got that little bit of adrenaline, like, are they catching me? What can I do to be better or faster? The spot that really stinks is what Bennett is in right now. You gotta find speed, but you can't overdo it to let the guys behind you start running. So I honestly think being P2 is the hardest position on the track.
Again, solid analysis. I mean, you know, oh, wow. John Wilco just bit the wall, causing Tony Burt to check up. And then Casey Bristow here involved in that as well. Let's see if this was maybe something unrelated. As we look at Bristow here in the 83 coming down the front stretch across the start-finish line and in toward turn number 1, and can't keep the wheels underneath him. That's not going to get it done, that's for sure. Yeah, you know, to be completely honest, I didn't spend a whole lot of time leading anything. And, you know, now I look at what I've got coming on August 25th, and it makes me a little nervous. I was running some AI races practicing for the Coke Zero 400 for Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action as I make the return to the track. And I'll tell you what, I did fine against AI, but I know that these real-life drivers are so much better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, AI did their single line. You could basically predict where they're going to go. Racing against an actual human, it's a whole nother monster.
Well, I'll tell you what, in AI, I started to have some success because they did form 2 lines, which was nice, you know, for a little while at least. What I found interesting was that as I was racing, and of course, you know, I started, you know, kind of cooled off and then started increasing their difficulty, those drivers get aggressive.
Oh, yeah. It's a great tool to use to find raw pace.
I mean, I was just running the iRacing, the generic setup, and I'll tell you what, in the years since I hung up the racing gloves, those cars on the Cup Series side have really changed.
Oh, the next gen car has so many changes on the service over the last year. And the way they came out and the way they are now, they're basically 2 different cars.
Yeah, I remember the first race that I ever had the next gen car in, and I thought, oh my God, this thing's a dream. And Bob Nestor and I were talking about it, and it was, yeah, this thing's easy. This is no big deal. And it's like, yeah, but wait, because it's about to get crazy. The more data that they've had. And these cars, you know, when you talk about data, these cars feed information into the computer system. They take that algorithm and translate it here to iRacing. I mean, the more data that the cars are spitting back, the more accurate that they're getting.
Out of all the racing simulators that are out there, from Assetto Corsa to whatever other ones are out there. Instead, of course, is the one that just comes to mind. iRacing is beyond all of them. Just with the connection that the dev team has with NASCAR, how they share data, and how the data from all the Cup teams gets put into development to put out as closely as possible what the real cars do in this circuit.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that comes from, people being able to take that creative outlet and being allowed to do what they want to do with it. I mean, I want to say that I think, and keep in mind, I grew up as a Dale Jr. fan.
Same.
But I really think that since Dale Jr. came onto the executive board at iRacing, that this service has gotten so much better because he's not giving a race car driver's perspective, he's giving a fan's perspective.
Yeah, he's given a combination of the race car driver, just a regular NASCAR fan, and an avid user of the service, so he knows what he wants on the service.
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic.
One of the things that I've thought about over the years, especially since his retirement, is that, Dale Jr. really does, he loves the sport. It's not just because his last name is Earnhardt, and it's not just because, he's won 2 Daytona 500s and a myriad of other things in the sport, or was the most popular driver at one time. But he's a fan, and the way that, if you take the time and you listen to the Dale Jr. download, the way that he talks about this sport is the way that I feel about baseball, and it's a passion that he has to make it, more accessible. And, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that I'm spot on with this one, but sim racing is probably the closest thing that you can get to a simulation of any of the sports games that are available anywhere for any platform.
As one who has played most of the simulator sports games, you're 100% spot on.
There's no correlation, between playing Madden and sim racing. I mean, in Madden, you're not throwing your controller across the living room. In MLB The Show, you're not standing there with a virtual bat. Here, you can basically, I mean, even here in the case, since we're looking at him, John Bawalda, he has a quarter-size stock car literally in his den in his house. Tony Burton, same way, has an ARCA car in his garage. Their wives are okay with it, which is probably good for them. But realistically, you can get wind simulators with a couple of Adreno boards. You can do almost anything to simulate the real world in this game, in this simulation. And whether it's forced feedback or wind or full motion, partial motion, you don't get that with any other sports game anywhere.
And it's not even close. Madden, MLB, NCAA, FIFA, you're playing with a controller, and you don't get the sensation of being on the field. Where us being sim racers, we have to invest in monitors to get a full view of sitting in the driver's seat. We got to invest in wheels, depending on your budget, how realistic you want to get it, pedals, cockpit seat. It's amazing how close you can get to being actually in a race car in your own house.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers are literally driving with bare feet, to get a better feel of the pedals. And, some of the things that I've seen people do over the years to get a better feel, to get, more accurate is, to me, just amazing. And I mean, the amount of money that some people sink into this sport is just the side of sickening. I remember Bob Nestor buying wrestling shoes because he had gotten load cell pedals and needed a better grip to be able to use those pedals because they were fighting against him. Huskenfeld was something fancy for him.
There's no way I could spend that kind of money on a hobby. Those pedals are like $2,000.
So the best part about the Huskenfeld pedals that Bob had, there used to be a guy on Facebook that Bob was on, was something about sim racing waffle. it was the raffles during the pandemic that people were doing, and Bob would sit there and put $10 in. He got those Huskenfelds for like $30.
Oh, jealous.
I swear to God, he was like the luckiest guy on earth. If I would have given, I could be in a raffle with one other person and have 50 tickets in, and the other person has just one ticket, and I would still somehow lose.
Sounds like my luck too.
Yeah, I do not go to Atlantic City very often.
No.
But, it's like... But Bob got these Huskenfeld pedals, mounted them up, and his driving style changed. I mean, because he was having that much more feedback from his feet. Where, I look at myself with, don't get me wrong, they're V3s, and they're comfy, and they're nice. But, I mean, it's just not the same from Fanatec to Huskenfeld.
No, it's just... The Huskenfeld are basically realistic pedals.
I used them once and crashed the car into the wall almost immediately.
I can only imagine the learning curve going from a spring-based pedal set to that.
Yeah, hydraulics make a lot of difference. But I mean, it was just, I forget what the guy's name was. But, we would sit there, and I hope that our old bosses aren't listening, but we would sit in our shop, because, of course, at the time, Bob was my boss, and he would, hey, listen, 1 o'clock, raffle. And we'd just sit there, and I'd watch him raffle this stuff off, and Bob, one time he won like $1,100, another time he got the pedals. He had a direct drive Fanatec wheel. When Fanatec went to the DD2, that's what he got. No, I lie. I think it was a DD1. Right before they went to the CSL or the CSL DD.
Man, it makes me want to upgrade my stuff. I'm sitting here with a Thrustmaster T150 that I got for like $150, and then the Thrustmaster TCLM pedals, which I think were like $200.
I have Bob's old V3 pedals, and I have a G923, and so Bob had sold his entire rig to some guy from New York, and because he doesn't give up, he reloads. So he sold it, and I loaned him my wheel a couple weeks later because he had the edge, and he brought it back, and he was like, "Dude, I can't." He was spoiled with that.
It's amazing how when you go from the high-end stuff and then race on mid to lower end spectrum, how garbage the lower end stuff actually feels, because you get so used to the high end. You feel every little bump, every little curve.
Oh yeah.
And then you can just go. Basically, my wheel is belt grip.
Right. Yeah. So is mine.
I kind of feel stuff.
I wound up when Bob and John Walden and I went to Dover. They had General Tire had a huge, just whoa, easy there, Bennett. You've only got 4 laps to go, and Bennett Allen out here just sliding around. General Tire had a big display down at Dover, and they had iRacing. So of course the three of us are like, hey, I mean, we're pretty good. We can do this. And they had such crap that it almost, our takeaway from it was, yes, it's iRacing, and yes, we're trying to get exposure to this sport or this area of the NASCAR sport. But it almost did a disservice because people who, at least from our perspective, people who have never done iRacing before had to be like, are you serious right now? But if you consider that you've never tried iRacing before, to them it must have been incredible.
Yeah, you're not putting the true experience out there. You're just like, here, this is what we do. Want to give it your have at it. I mean, I kind of understand that, where they don't want to do full $1,000 stuff, just in case someone accidentally breaks it. It's a lot of investment you got to put back into it.
Yeah,
so,
and
break stuff.
NASCAR fans are probably prone to breaking stuff.
Us? No.
No, never.
Never.
Listen, I grew up in a firehouse. It was, how did this get broken? I don't know, Chief. I have no idea. Not a clue. It was never me. I have no idea. Parker Retzlaff here with 3 laps to go comes out of the final turn. One more time here, and as he heads toward the start-finish line, the popsicle sticks go in the air, the white, and we're just 1 lap away from the white flag. Parker Retzlaff has been absolutely dominant tonight. I mean, what a performance, as right now he is gapping Bennett Allen by 31 seconds.
I don't even think he's pushing that hard. He just looks like he's calm, cool, collected, just trying to keep the car on the track. Not trying to hit any walls, just hitting the marks.
Yeah, this is going to be 4 wins in a row for Parker, and, you know, barring some type of catastrophe, which I'm sure half the field is hoping for, Parker is going to bring home the checkered flag. And, you know, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but, you know, for me, it's like when somebody is this dominant, to some drivers, yeah, it may feel, you know, a little bit discouraging, but to me, it almost incenses me to want to do more and to, you know, and to be better.
It eats at me that he kicks our butt each week, but it drives me. It gives me the motivation to find the extra pace that I need to keep up with him. And one of these races, we're gonna get him. He's not gonna be dominant the whole season.
No, somebody's gonna get him, and you know, to be honest, and maybe it's because I'm a super speedway nerd. And listen, for the people that hate super speedways, I'm sorry for your luck, but I love them. And right now, as Parker Retzlaff slings down the front stretch, the popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers. You know, it's like, I love me a super speedway, but something tells me that that's where Parker Retzlaff is going to, you know, maybe end this winning streak that he's got going on. Because right now, I don't see anybody that can touch him.
You know, you're just feeding the motivation, right?
I'm just saying. Look, I know when I come to Daytona in August in the Cup Series, of course, just a little bit of backstory there. The reason that yours truly is going to step behind the wheel one more time here is we just reached 4,000 subscribers on Sim Racing Media, which is kind of cool. It's a feather in our cap. And so the deal is that on Sunday Night NASCAR last week, Alan Bergen drank a Yingling Flight, which is just downright delicious. And now next week, I'm going to drink a Budweiser, which is basically piss water.
And Yingling's basically water, too.
I mean, yeah, it's triple filtered mountain water. But, you know, I cannot bring myself to drink an Anheuser-Busch product because I'm a proud Pennsylvanian. But needless to say, then the third caveat to that was I'm going to race in the Coke 0400. But right now, as Parker Retzlaff comes out of the final turn, the checkered flag are winning, and you can put it on the board. Yes! Here in Chicago, Parker Retzlaff brings home the checkered flag. What a night, man. What an absolute barn burner of a race for Parker Retzlaff. Wow. Parker Retzlaff comes across the line. Ethan Ball still hasn't come close to finishing as he's running P2. Bennett Allen in third.
Has Bennett crashed?
Not yet. He's working on it.
Well, he was just running P2, and then Ethan got by him.
Oh, you know what? I do see him having registered as having crashed. Let's see what it is. As it looks like Ethan Ball going to cross the start-finish line, and yep, Bennett definitely crashed. Bennett crashed, and the field was so slow that he still manages to come across here with John Bawalda running in fourth, as there's Bennett Allen crossing for third. John Bawalda finishes in fourth for his highest finish of the season. And Trent Curtis, of course, one of your team owners, coming across the line, rounding out the top five. Mike, listen, I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. And listen, you've made it a lot of fun to hang out here in the booth.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. It was good to be up here. It's maybe I'll come in for a cup race to help you out.
Listen, the door is always open here at Sim Racing Media. I'm more than glad to have you. Thank you again, and I'm going to send you on down here to the waiting room while I collect everyone.
I appreciate you, brother.
No, I appreciate you. Thanks, bud. As we're going to go ahead and collect our drivers here, of course, Parker Retzlaff and Ethan Ball both going to be coming down here momentarily as we move both of them here in the waiting room. Hey, Parker, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me.
I got you.
Buddy, listen, what a show you put on tonight here to bring home the checkered flag, gapping the field by so much of a distance. I mean, more than 30 seconds, 43.97 between you and your teammate, Ethan. I mean, what on earth did you have under the hood for the Funkaway Chevrolet?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a little bit of time when I got home Sunday, like, you know, working on my setup and everything that I was going to race tonight, and me and Ethan worked a little bit, and I did a little bit of testing with Dennis, and you know, disappointed that he didn't get the finish he deserved, running second and third there basically for the whole race. So I just have to thank everyone at Funkaway and everyone who supports me.
Yeah, man, I mean, listen, your teammate Mike McConville and I were sitting here in the broadcast booth just kind of, you know, chewing the fat for the last handful of laps, and just I'm quite frankly speechless. I mean, you've now made it 4 in a row. We head to Pocono this coming weekend. What are you looking forward to both in the real life and, of course, next Monday here in Xfinity League action?
Yeah, I mean, I think just getting to Pocono this week and, you know, trying to redeem last week when I felt like we had a really good car in real life, and didn't get to show that in the wreck. So just excited to get back to the racetrack and try and redeem ourselves and get back in a hot streak.
Now, when you go to Pocono this weekend in the real world, how much downtime do you have, you know, between getting into town and you know, when you're not on the track?
Yeah, I mean, we get there Friday morning, usually every week. So, I mean, we have basically just Tech Friday, and then Saturday morning we'll start practice, and basically Saturday be all full. So, Friday won't be that bad, and Saturday will be very packed.
Well, listen, if you get a chance between Friday and Saturday, and listen, I'll even bring it for you because I'm not that far away. There's a place called Tommy's in Jim Thorpe. It's about 25 minutes from the racetrack. Get yourself a buffalo chicken Rambo. It's the most delicious sandwich you're going to find in the hills of Pennsylvania.
I might try that if I get some downtime.
All right, buddy, listen, congratulations. Enjoy the win, and we will see you next Monday night.
Thank you.
That, of course, the voice of your race winner, Parker Retzlaff. And next up here on the podium is his teammate, Ethan Ball, driving the number 96 to to P2 tonight. Hey, Ethan, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
M4, got you loud and clear.
Buddy, listen, you put on a heck of a show tonight, but you still couldn't catch that teammate. I mean, you know, that's rough for anybody, but at least you get to watch a teammate bring home the checkered flag.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I'm shocked to be in second. I mean, 43 seconds is absolutely insane. Parker put on a clinic, but, you know, I guess he had 40 laps to practice it on Saturday, so I don't feel as bad about it. Definitely feels good to be first, you know, of the rest of the guys out here. But, yeah, we'll take a P2 all day.
Yeah, I mean, P2 is nothing to sneeze at, especially on it's not even a road course, it's a street course. And I mean, getting around Chicago during rush hour has to be easier, as of course, Rebecca, one of our viewers, had pointed out earlier. And, you know, here's the thing. Now we go from the street course when we get back to kind of our bread and butter, if you will, here on the schedule. What are you looking forward to as we head to Pocono next weekend?
Oh, man. I really like Pocono. It's kind of a tricky track. Obviously, they call it the tricky triangle, but it's really about rhythm and finding your flow through the tunnel turn as much as possible. So I'm sure Mike McConville and the JAR TCR guys will work on a rocket ship. Clearly, Parker has shown that there's a lot more speed found in our setup. So we'll just keep digging. I'm excited to get some more practice laps in, capitalize this top 3 mission towards the playoffs, and play have a shot when we get to Phoenix later this year.
Absolutely. Well, listen, before we cut you loose tonight, who do you need to thank and who helps you get it done on the 96 team?
Yeah, all the JAR TCR teammates that we race with. We got a good group of guys. Parker for telling me, some tips and tricks along the way to keep me moving forward. And lenders.com, if you got a tool, and it's just sitting there collecting dust. Put it up on the lenders, make a little extra money. Thanks for those guys always riding. And thank to you guys for putting on the broadcast.
All right, buddy. Listen, good luck, and good luck next week at Pocono, and we will see you there.
Sweet. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, as always, Ethan. And last but certainly not least, here on our podium, I finally break the curse, and he doesn't wreck out of the race. Bennett Allen finishes third tonight out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, our 2022 champion. Hey, Bennett, it's Dave. You got me?
Hello. Howdy.
Buddy, listen, you had a near miss here at the end. I thought bad things were about to happen as you spun out coming back toward the checkered flag. What was... I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I did it again. But you finally come across here and break the curse. How was it tonight here at Chicago?
It was tricky. The biggest setback I had was just the lap cars getting in my way. No offense to them, it's a very tight road course, but they would let you by in the most obscure places possible. I mean, there's about 3 or 4 times where in the tightest corner of the track, which can barely fit 2 cars in turn 7, cars would just stop there. It happened 3 or 4 times. I'm like, what do you? I have nowhere to go. What do you expect me to do? Because that corner, you don't send it in deep, and I don't know why I sent it in deep on the last lap, but you saw what happened. I spun out. So that was the most frustrating part. The second most frustrating part was getting ran into by the 50 twice. I passed him on the outside cleanly, which is awesome. I mean, I don't know how I passed somebody on the outside at a road course, but a street course by that matter. But I mean, I passed him cleanly. He dive bombs me going in the 6, hits my left rear, gets me out of shape. Going back down in the 1, I wasn't trying to hit him. I was going to try to rough him up a little bit, but I wasn't trying to run him over. But again, he slowed down way too much for that corner when you can carry so much more speeds than some of these guys were doing. So I mean, I was battling a lot out there, and my car was torn up to shreds. I don't know how I never got a meatball. I knocked the wall down about 50,000 times, and I still didn't get a meatball. And I finished third, so I'm thankful I finished third. Even though I should have finished second, I finished third, and I'm happy.
Yeah, man, sometimes you got to be thankful for what you do have because you never know when you're going to lose it, that's for sure. I mean, especially at a street course like this. Next week we head to Pocono. Of course, we know that you're going to be a strong competitor there as Pocono gets us back into our bread and butter here. So good luck with that for sure. Before we cut you loose, as always, who do you need to thank and tip your cap to here in the 15 car?
Huge thanks to my setup shop, Outlier Setup Company. Those guys make some banger setups every week, and they're continuing to get better and better. Cup sets and truck sets are, I mean, as good as they get. And Xfinity sets are getting better and better, so huge thanks to those guys. Always a huge thanks to Bobby Blazer and B-Blaze Vintage, JCTV, and Sparky Speedway Jewelry, and all my partners over there. All good friends of mine that thankful enough to be able to run their sponsors on my car. And yeah, I think that's about it. I haven't been interviewed in a fat minute, so it's kind of nice. And we'll move on to Pocono and see what we can do there. It's a fun track.
All right, buddy. Good luck next week at Pocono. We'll see you there, and congratulations on the P3 finish tonight.
Preach.
Well, folks, another one in the books here in the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series here on Sim Racing Media, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and making us a part of their evening, because without you folks at home, we'd have nobody to talk to, that's for sure, as we wrap another one up here in Chicago. And just what a great place to have a street course. I mean, I really think I am getting more used to Chicago being the home of the street race here. Hopefully we can see this move around the country, maybe to a couple different cities. We've talked about it before, whether it's Miami, Philadelphia, even New York would be interesting. Of course, I feel like there are some cities that are more easily or more readily able to shut down literally an entire section of the city to prepare for NASCAR. As we take one final look at our results from tonight, of course, we want to make sure that we're tuning in for everybody here. Parker Retzlaff brings home the checkered flag. He's followed on the podium by Ethan Ball and Bennett Allen. John Bawalda, in one of his best finishes of the season, finishes in fourth with Trent Curtis, owner of the JAR TCR stable here, rounding out your top 5. Drew Glover and Sam Bolin finish in 6th and 7th, while Tane Hodison, Dennis Mickelson, and Brockton Packard round out your top 10. 11th goes to Sylvain Joly, while McAdoo, Pennsylvania's very own John Wilco finishes in 12th. Mason Hoffner in 13th with Daniel Moynihan in 14th. Casey Briscoe comes home in 15th with Alex Princeton and Chris Claude in 16th and 17th. Nick Hansen comes home in 18th position, while Logan Giesbrecht comes home in 19th. 20th goes to Keith Black with Ron Fitting in 21st. 22nd is Aaron Mack with Michael Pilardi in 23rd. 24th goes to Tony Burt with Austin Green and Anthony Savignano in 25th and 26th, respectively. Rich Jett and Mike McConville finish in 27th and 28th, while Alexander Gangler and Michael Witt round out your top 30, while Kavaja Holt, Richard Pruitt, Gabriel Lafreniere, Brandon Minto, and Ethan Eckert make up the 35 drivers that took the green flag tonight. So, you know, somebody's got to do it, and unfortunately tonight it's Ethan Eckert in the 11th, finishing in dead last. But Parker Retzlaff, the story of the night, 4 wins in a row now here in the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series. We're glad to have him here with us, putting on one heck of a show every week, giving us some insight into the real world of NASCAR, and, of course, translating that here to virtual NASCAR. So we are very appreciative of everything that he brings to the table here at Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series action. So for myself, Dave Regal, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and for Mike McConville, who made a cameo appearance here tonight, we appreciate him stepping in and hanging out with us. And everybody here, we want to thank you for hanging out. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.